to the Baylor Lariat Student Government Debate in collaboration with Lariat TV News. I'm Julia Lorenz, your moderator for this debate for Student Body President at Baylor University. Let's begin by introducing you to our three candidates for this position. Our first candidate running for Student Body President is Sutton Hauser, a junior from Boerne, Texas. Our second candidate is Prabjot Thandi, a junior from Houston, Texas. And our third and final candidate is Jackson McNeese, a junior from Jones, Oklahoma. The rules are as follows. The candidates will have 30 seconds for an opening statement, and they will proceed in an order determined by random draw. The opening statement will be followed by a series of questions determined by student government officers, our panelists, and also students who participated in a social media survey conducted by the Lariat. Candidates will have 45 seconds to answer the same question, and if they are called out by name by another candidate, they will have 30 seconds for a rebuttal. At the end of the debate, each candidate will have 45 seconds for a closing statement. Let's introduce you to our panelists for this debate. From the Baylor Lariat, Matthew Meir. And from Lariat TV News, Igor Stepchinsky. Now let's begin with opening statements. Mr. Hauser, you have 30 seconds and may begin when you are ready.
Hello Baylor Bears, my name is Sutton Hauser, and I'm so excited you guys are tuning in. I hope you guys are staying safe during this time. I'm excited to talk to a lot to you about these ideas because I believe we have an incredible opportunity to bring change to our campus next semester. First to be securing Title IX information, then increasing mental health resources, advocating for diversity within student government, and continuing the fight against food insecurities. Thank you all so much for your time. I'm excited to get started.
Mr. Thandi, it is now your turn for opening statements. You have 30 seconds and may begin when you are ready.
Hi, my name is Prabjot Thandi. Hope you're all staying safe and doing well. I'm ready to be your Baylor Student Body President. Part of my platform is really about pushing and promoting for diversity and inclusion all across campus with different student organizations, promoting student government transparency, really advocating for resources for students and all across campus to use mental health resources, tackling food insecurity, providing funding to students who need it, and really representing underrepresented student organizations, and really pushing on that diversity and inclusion portion of my platform.
Mr. McNeese, it is now your turn for opening statements. You have 30 seconds and may begin when you are ready.
Thank you, Julia. Hello, my name is Jackson McNeese, and I am running for Student Body President because Baylor is home. Through my 3 years in Student Senate, I have heard the accounts of Baylor students from every corner of campus. The Baylor community has become family for me. However, like any family, we must acknowledge the issues we're facing. My ambition as Student Body President is to further build partnerships and relationships throughout the student body to improve the place we cherish and call home. Please know this. I'm eager to work together to not only build bridges, but ready to walk across them with you as well. Please join me as we come together for a better Baylor.
We are now moving on to questions. Each candidate will be asked the same question and have 45 seconds to respond. I will remind you when you have 5 seconds remaining. The first topic is on campus and student life.
Mr. Thandi, what do you think is the most pressing issue on campus, and what specific plans do you have in place to solve it?
Well, Igor, what I think is the most pressing issue on campus is probably the amount of diversity we have in terms of our representation of different student organizations, as well as the members within, for example, student government. I really like to see, just based on statistically, there's a lot of underrepresented minority groups and groups that could use a bit more of a voice to voice their concerns. And of course, I like to advocate on behalf of all Baylor students, but also try to reach out to those students who feel like their voices need to be a little bit more heard. And doing that through perhaps... Okay.
Mr. McNeese, what do you think the most pressing issue on campus is, and what specific plans do you have in place to solve it?
Right. Like Prabjot said, I wholeheartedly believe diversity and inclusion is the most pressing issue on campus. I think student government is the machine of change in the student body, but I think the engine's broken. I think by doing a holistic restructuring of Student Senate as well as the executive branch to include not only ethnic diversity, but as well as academic and unique population diversity is how we begin to fix this issue. By having a conglomeration of people from all corners of campus, I think we're able to better analyze the issues we face, propose propose more creative solutions, as well as have a more thorough analysis of how we can do to prepare for the coming issues in the future.
Mr. Hauser, what do you think is the most pressing issue on campus, and what specific plans do you have to resolve it?
I think Prabhat and Jackson touched a lot on the ideas and the fact that diversity in student government has not yet been representative as it should be. And I think going back to going next semester and creating changes in order to bring more minority voice into student government is a huge part of creating that change and to building bridges between student government and other organizations so students have the opportunity to be heard within student government and make the changes they need. But I also think that mental health right now is a very pressing issue since most students are at home without their friends and their support groups. So I think making sure that student government reaches out in this time of uncertainty is essential because we need to be there for our students even though we are very separated in this time. And I think making sure more resources are available and communicated to students is necessary for this uncertain time.
The second question will be on the topic of diversity and inclusion.
Mr. McNeese, how would you make yourself available when it comes to hearing issues on campus diversity and inclusion and making sure all students have their voices heard?
Phenomenal question. I think that there are a plethora of ideas that we have to make ourselves more available. One, I think part of this comes in my transparency part of the platform is one, being known on campus. Right now, there's the island of student government that we often sequester ourselves in this little corner of campus. I think being more transparent, being more available so that people know who we are, know how we can be accessible, and being willing to sit down and listen is how we do that. I think additionally, it's not only listening to these voices across campus, but it's getting these voices involved in every part of the decision-making process. I think having them sequestered off, having them in a committee, having them in an ad hoc is valuable, but having them in the decision room, having them make the votes is how we begin to access and make available the voices of all student government and the student body.
Mr. Hauser, how would you make yourself available when it comes to hearing issues on campus diversity and inclusion and making sure all students have their voices heard?
Thank you so much. This is something I've been thinking about a lot. My team and I have been developing within student government. The idea that I wish to bring before you is called the Diversity Coalition. And that is an idea that has been formed by a lot of student government members in order to have minority voices in a permanent committee with the student body president and other members of other organizations so that together we can come up with an idea to how to best represent minority voices within student government, but also how to bring that change to our campus. So this coalition would be to inform, to encourage, and to equip students from minority groups to be active members in student government, but also to be change makers in our community. And that starts with building relationships with a lot of smaller organizations and working together to develop ideas. So it's not just student government coming up with the ideas and presenting them to groups, but it's an active conversation of listening and talking and working with students.
Mr. Thandy, how would you make yourself available when it comes to hearing issues on campus diversity and inclusion and making sure all students have their voices heard?
Thank you, man. Excellent question. First of all, I'd like to just say that as president of Baylor's Ballroom Dance and Swing Dance Societies, most of my members didn't actually even know that they can reach out to Student Center in the first place, which I found very disappointing. I'd like to really establish liaisons within student government, between student government and different student organizations, to provide a more easier route of access and communication between multiple groups and student government, so that we can provide them with information, the resources, and better connection points to centers than they will be able to not be able to perhaps have to research a little bit more, find them on their own. And really giving them a voice, reaching out to organizations that may be newly founded or feel underrepresented, to provide them with a voice through student government where they can perhaps get funding if they need it, get access to, we can point them in the right direction to other resources as well.
And the third question will be on the topic of COVID-19.
Mr. Hauser, how do you plan to unite and assist the student body during a time when many people haven't been on campus for a while? And do you have any resources or plans in mind to help with this adjustment?
Yes, thank you for asking that. There's some things that I will tell you about I've done in the past and things I'm working on now. So last week, myself and another student were writing letters to our fellow students, encouraging them with Bible verses and quotes that we thought would help encourage them during this time. So communication is key with our student body. In addition, I've been working with Baylor to make a new Baylor Dr. Pepper Hour to help encourage students about the culture that's still on our campus and connecting students. And then I would like to continue working with the store to bring more resources to students who are still fighting food insecurities on our campus by making more resources available to them, continue that connection so that students' needs are provided when they're on campus and when they come back to campus next semester. I think by both encouraging and equipping students for this, I think we best fight the COVID-19.
Mr. Thandy, how do you plan to unite and assist the student body during a time when many people haven't been on campus for a while? And do you have any resources or plans in mind to help them with this adjustment?
Thank you, Igor. First of all, with all this, with most students being away at home and far away from campus, and all the social distancing, not being able to be in class, and some may find that really difficult. Really vouching for mental health resources is something that's huge on my platform. Increasing the capacity of mental health resources, and promoting the awareness of the event we have every year annually, Mental Health Week. Relaying the word out about that more than we already do. It's a great way to inform students about how they can better manage their mental health, how they can take care of themselves and others, and really look after themselves in this time of need and isolation when people may not be used to it and maybe a really confusing time.
Mr. McNeese, how do you plan to unite and assist the student body during a time when many people haven't been on campus for a while? And do you have any resources or plans in mind to help with this adjustment?
Yes, Igor, thanks for asking. I think there are two things that are necessary in this COVID-19 time. I think one's this lack of community, what people are yearning for, and social distancing and stay-at-home orders. I think what we've seen doing with Baylor Chamber taking DIA online is something phenomenal. In my time as Baylor, I've served as a CL, so events are my second nature. I know how to plan an event. I can coordinate one quickly. So it's working to create creative avenues to help integrate this Baylor community to what is now virtual. Additionally, if we're to be online in the fall semester for incoming freshmen, the first 6 weeks is crucial for the academic experience. So it's working, how do we integrate these incoming freshmen into what the Baylor community can be whole and become? Additionally, I think there are some upstream issues we can do, like online Canvas seminars for professors and students to be best equipped to do online learning skills. Thank you.
That concludes our questions. We will now be moving to closing statements. We will begin with Mr. Hauser. You have 45 seconds to respond and may begin when you are ready.
Baylor Bears, thank you all so much for listening to this discussion. I'm glad y'all tuned in for this. I believe we have some incredible ideas of how to bring change not only to student government next semester, but to the campus as a whole. I do not believe my plans are lofty, but however, they're accessible and they're ready and they're practical for what we can do and bring change to our campus next semester. So I ask you, support securing Title IX information for students to be better protected. Support enhancing mental health resources for students to thrive at Baylor. Support bringing more diversity within student government. And support the fight against food insecurities by providing more nutrition, clothing, and textbooks for students in need. Thank you all so much for this time. I hope to see you all soon, and sic 'em Bears.
Mr. Thandy, it is now your turn for closing statements. You have 45 seconds and may begin when you are ready.
Thank you, Julia. So in this very troubling time of need, I believe that with my platform and if elected student body president, I can really provide a voice to those students who might not feel represented, as well as to the rest of the Baylor campus as well, through my diversity and inclusion platform. Diversifying the makeup of the executive cabinet to better understand the issues that concern the student body, by providing leadership through unique and varied perspectives, working towards proposing that we be more appreciative and fostering a greater or garnering a greater appreciation for the diverse traits that make up our student body, by beginning with diversifying student government itself so that we can be more better connected and as a Baylor family as a whole.
Mr. McNeese, it is now your turn for closing statements. You have 45 seconds and may begin when you are ready.
One of my favorite theologians is Mr. Rogers. His most famous question is, "Won't you be my neighbor?" However, there's an assumption in that question. It is that you and I are home. We do not have neighbors when we're grocery shopping or in the drive-thru at Chick-fil-A. We have neighbors when we are home. In Baylor, we are home when we get back to campus. And like any good neighbor, I'm ready to lend a hand to cultivate a more thorough sense of diversity and inclusion across campus. I'm ready to lend a hand to create transparency, to know how we in student government can best serve you all, and finally, ready to lend a hand to increase student accessibility so that we can be the best equipped students to have successful college careers. I'm asking you now, won't you be my neighbor and take action and vote Jackson for student body president on April 16th and 17th?
To close, I'd like to thank our panelists and candidates for participating and remind our viewers that voting will be online this Thursday and Friday, April 16th and 17th. To cast your vote, go to www.baylor.edu/student_government. The Baylor Lariat and Lariat TV News encourage you to exercise your right to vote. Thank you for watching, and I'm Julia Lorenz.